Hello, 8th grade. We're going to start learning about, so we've learned about slope, right? How do you find the slope of a line? And now we're going to learn about how you can write the equation of a line in what's called slope-intercept form. So you're going to learn this today and it will never go away. We still use this thing in calculus, slope-intercept form. So it's just a way that you can write an equation for a line and then you know exactly how to graph that line. So first thing you're going to do is write slope-intercept form, and you're just going to write this down, y equals mx plus b. And I'm going to tell you what all of those things are. So right now, write that down. Slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. So y and x, I put this here because they're both variables. All that means is when you write slope-intercept form, you're always going to write y and you're always going to write x. Those are the two letters that stay in the equation. And then your numbers go in for m and b. That's where you put your numbers. So I'll give you an example. So m, hopefully you're realizing that that is where you put your slope, which is why we've been using m equals for slope. Our m represents the slope. And b is your y-intercept. So write that down, and I'm going to explain what that means. So I'm just going to draw a little line here for you. And just so you can see what I mean. So let's pretend that 1, 2, 3. So let's pretend this is our line. Just real quick. So if this is our line here, hopefully you guys are realizing, the slope is negative because it's going down. So let's figure out that slope real quick. What is the slope of this line? Well, I can go down 1 and over 1. So I know it's negative down 1, that's my rise. And then my run is also 1, so negative 1 over 1 ends up just being negative 1. So my slope's minus 1. And then this part might be new. B, remember, means your y-intercept. All that means, if you want to write this down, and I'll put it over here in a thought bubble, my sloppy thought bubble, is where the line crosses the y-axis. The y-intercept just means where the line crosses the y-axis. So if someone intercepted the ball in American football, that means they're catching it, right? So the y-intercept just means where is the y-axis catching that line, okay? So if I look at my line here, I can see this is the y-axis, right? This is the y-axis, if you need to label it. So where does the line cross the y-axis? Well, it crosses right here. And that point is 1, 2, 3. So my B, or where this line crosses the y-axis, is just at 3. So if I were to write this thing in slope-intercept form, the way I would write it is y, because y stays y, equals. Now I put my number for m. M is minus 1. Then I just write x, because x is my variable, it stays there. And then b is my y-intercept, which I know now for this one is 3, so plus 3. So that would be how I write the equation of this line in slope-intercept form. We're going to do a whole bunch more. Here we go. Okay? Example 1. The slope of a line is negative 3 over 2. So m is negative 3 halves. So I know this line is a negative slope going down. And the y-intercept is 5. So b, y-intercept is 5. So now all I have to do is plug that in here into slope-intercept form. y equals m times x. Well, m is negative 3 halves. So I plug that in. Times x, I just leave my x there. Plus b. Well, b is positive 5, so it's just plus 5. So that's my answer for slope-intercept form. All right, next. The slope of a line is 1, and the y-intercept is minus 10. So the slope is 1, and the y-intercept, or b, is negative 10. So let's write that. Taking it from here. Y equals m is 1. I write my x plus b. Well, I'm plussing negative 10. So if I'm adding negative 10, I can just write minus 10. So if you have a y-intercept that's negative, you can just write minus that number. So here's slope-intercept form. If you write it like this, it's correct. But I also want to show you that mathematicians are going to simplify this, and they're going to write it like this. Why? Because what happens when you multiply any number by 1? You get that same number. So you don't need to write multiply by 1. It doesn't need to be there, right? Because you're going to get the same number. So mathematicians just write x, because that is the same as saying 1x. There's only 1x there. So you could write it like this. It's still correct. Just the notation is going to be seen like this. So if you had a multiple choice problem, you would see it like this second one, not like the first one. All right, let's keep going. Let's try example 3. The slope of a line is 2/3, so 2 over 3. Slope is 2 over 3. And the line passes through the point 0, 2. Well, I need b. I need the y-intercept to be able to fill out y equals mx plus b. They don't tell me what the y-intercept is. They just give me this point. So let's sketch it real quick. I'm just going to sketch it right here. I realize that pencil's not too great. So I'm going to sketch it right there. And it has this point 0, 2. So the point 0, 2 means I don't move it all left or right, and then I go up 2 and I make a dot. Well, guess what that is? That point 0, 2. That happens to be where the line crosses the y-axis, which means it is the y-intercept. So they just gave us the y-intercept in a different way. So that picture helped me see that. So now I can come right over here that my y-intercept is 2, right? That's where it crosses the y-axis, at where y equals 2. So now I can go ahead and just plug everything I know into my slope-intercept form. Y equals, m is 2 over 3, x plus 2. So if you ever get stuck on these, you can always make a graph. And actually, at the end of this, we're going to be writing equations from graphs, so you'll see what I mean. All right, now we're getting a little trickier. A line that passes through the points 0, 1, and 5, 4. So this is, we have to find the slope from these points. So hopefully you remember that formula that we've been doing, which is it's the change in y over the change in x, right? Which means you do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So that, I just have to come over here and label these. Remember, it doesn't matter. So if I make this my first point, that's fine. Then I'll label this x1, y1. If this is my second point and I want that to be my second point, this is x2, y2. If I had swapped the order, it doesn't matter. You're going to get the same answer. So now let's plug it in. So y2 minus y1, well, that's going to be 4 minus 1 over x2 minus x1. Well, that's 5 minus 0. Now I just perform my subtraction. 4 minus 1 is 3. 5 minus 0 is 5. So my slope is 3/5. I had to find it that time. They didn't give it to me. Okay? Now I still need b. I need the y-intercept. So remember how they gave it to us here? When I plotted it, this when the x is 0, then the y value ends up being the y-intercept. Did they give us that here? Oh yeah, they did. X is 0, y is 1. So if I plotted that point, x is 0, y is 1, it would be right here. That's where it crosses the y-axis. So I know b is just 1. Now I can write my slope-intercept form. Y equals, m is 3 over 5, x, and then my y-intercept is 1, so plus 1. There's my equation of that line. All right, and now these are some tricky ones where you have to figure out the equation of a line from just 2 straight lines. So this is a horizontal line, right? It goes left to right. If this is a horizontal line, hopefully you guys can see that slope is flat. There is no slope. So for a horizontal line, the slope is 0. There's no slope. So the equation for this line is it only crosses the x-axis. Sorry, it only crosses the y-axis. My mistake. It only crosses the y-axis, right? So that's why my equation for this line is y equals 3. Why? Because everywhere I look, y is 3, the whole line. Okay? And then this one is a vertical line, right? It goes up and down. So for a vertical line, the slope you can see is really impossible. It's almost infinite. It just keeps going up and up. So if you have to find the slope of a vertical line, it's what we call undefined. You cannot find it. It's too steep. And the equation for this line would be, well, it crosses the x-axis at -2. So the equation here is x equals -2. Because no matter where you are, you go to x is -2 and you draw a dot from no matter what y value and you have your vertical line. All right, so hopefully you're able to write slope-intercept form from these different types of problems. See you next time.